Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 295 of Lave Radio, the show about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Shan, and joining me in the orange carrier today for this episode is the Deputy Trade Attaché, Commander Suv,
What up?
What's your job title this week, Ben?
Health and safety, I'm assuming.
I don't believe in that. Anyway, we have our head of health and safety, Ada Weiss.
Oh my god, Shan, it's so big.
Thank you. And we also have our special guest this week, of Mack Winston. Hello.
Hello.
So let's do the traditional. What have we been up to this week? So from the top, Sue, we haven't seen you for a while. How have you been doing?
Good. I mean, that's a very broad question. I have been fine. I have insomnia, which kicks my arse several times a year, and I've had a particularly bad episode of that recently, which led to some very funny hours being kept, and quite a few days spent zombified, hence my absence. But no, broadly fine, and excited to be back in the studio, I guess.
So I guess you haven't had much time for gaming, or have you been gaming at like 3 a.m?
Definitely gaming at like 3 a.m, and lots of Total War Warhammer, rather than space games, actually.
So you're preparing for the Frontier RTS game, which I believe has a Warhammer connection.
It's the Age of Sigmar. I don't know, like preparing is the wrong word. I didn't generally play many. I played what was it called? Total Annihilation back in the 90s when I was a child, and really enjoyed that. And then didn't really play any strategy games until recently. And then a friend bought me Total Warhammer 2 for my birthday or Christmas, I think, and I absolutely love it. It's totally brilliant. And I've been having great fun taking over the world of Skaven. So yeah, fairly recent convert to strategy games in general. And the Warhammer world is not anything that I've never really sort of delved into it or been into that stuff. But I'm really enjoying it. It's hilarious. The Frontiers strategy game I'm slightly dubious about because they don't have any pedigree in making real-time strategy games, which are quite complex and involve lots of interlocking systems. But they are very good at management games, which is not a million miles away. So it could potentially be exciting. But yeah, that'll be an interesting one to watch, certainly.
Ben, what have you been up to this week?
I've actually been playing Star Citizen a fair amount.
Get off the show. Come on, be off with you.
And yeah, no, there was a patch for Star Citizen recently where they added in eating and drinking. And
Wow.
Indeed. And the stations are littered with vending machines everywhere. So I thought, I need to eat. So I go along to a vending machine, which don't fucking work. Eventually, just before I was about to starve, I found out that the clothes shop sells bottles of water.
Oh, so you actually have to buy food and drink and stuff like that?
You have to buy food and drink to live.
So if you don't log on for a week, you end up dead.
I don't know if it happens while you're not logged in, but certainly while you're logged in and you're doing stuff, you get thirsty and you get hungry, or you get too hot or too cold and things like that. Yes.
See, I don't like personally. I'm not into that sort of thing. It just, I have enough trouble keeping myself alive in real life, let alone having to do it in a game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to eating and drinking mechanic in Red Dead Redemption, I guess. I'm not fully convinced for the necessity of it, but I guess some people will go my immersion. But yeah, so my experiences though with SC is, yeah, it's still Star Citizen. It's still rather buggy, and oh my god, the resources it chews up are ridiculous. But it is.
But it's fun.
Well, I don't know if I'd describe it as fun or not. It is.
Passes the time, or is that too rude?
It is a I live in space simulator, or at least it has the potential to be that. So hey,
Okay, well we shall
yeah.
get reports on that a bit later on. So, Mac, what have you been up to this week?
I was just thinking about that Star Citizen thing. So it's they're channeling NetHack. I don't know whether you've played those roguelike dungeon crawlers,
yeah.
but you always got hungry in those, and you could actually eat too much.
So I'm just thinking Gauntlet of Red Warrior needs food badly.
But yeah, people are complaining about the upkeep of fleet carriers. I mean, if you have to have body upkeep in Star Citizen, that's going to be something else. Yeah, well, I've been joining the hordes in Baran around Baran A2 for the last of the LTD mining. So I've been down the mines, been down to pit for the for a while, and also my alt account's been on the Eastern Promise expedition. We're just about this. The next scheduled stop is actually Magellan Star, which is the easternmost visitable, or I think it's just the easternmost from Sol star there is. So I'm going to have to use a bunch of jumponium to get there, but I've not got too many jumps to do there. But yeah, Baran, yeah, the Baran chat's just absolutely manic when it's going.
Because that's gone now, hasn't it?
Yeah, or rather, all the hotspots are being reshuffled, but because of the addition of the tritium. So yeah,
Dr. Ross basically came along and said, "I want a new galaxy," and sprinkled it with a little magic wand.
Yep, and that's it. So anyway, we all enjoyed I did my last couple of 100 tons of LTDs and got those. I was in two minds. I think, should I save them for my fleet carrier and store them and waiting for a really good price, or should I just sell them? In the end I just decided to sell them because you never know what happens. You might come back and they've been globally nerfed in price or something.
Well,
So
I have seen a couple of screenshots where LTDs have plummeted in price. I don't know if that's...
I thought I'd sell them while the going's good. So I flogged the last lot. So I got plenty enough to buy a carrier and fit it out how it wants. But at the moment, I can't even connect. I'm on fail count equals 33. It just clicked up once. So I guess it's the usual launch day blues there. The servers are probably being hammered and have all like collapsed. But other than that, yeah, I've been playing a bit of Call of Duty as well. I got that recently and had to sit through many, many, many patches. Literally every time I went to play it, there was another patch. Usually they were small, but then there was this gigantic, I don't know, it was like 40 gig. It was an enormous patch. And it took me about, because what I tend to do with these huge ones, I let them go overnight because, well, I need my internet connection in the day. And when I'm at work, I'm also not in Windows. I'm in Linux when I'm at work, so I can't really download. I have to reboot my PC to download these things. But it would download about 4 or 5 gigs, and then it would fall over and fail. And because I got it via Blizzard. It's one of their partner games, and so their launcher isn't smart enough to retry after a while. But anyway, I got it in the end. I've played through the campaign, and the campaign is pretty good fun. So yep, I'd recommend that. I'm kind of a bit scared about going online always, because I always hate being the noob who's completely clueless and doesn't know what they're doing. And I used to play Return to Castle Wolfenstein Enemy Territory a lot, and I loved the team games, but
Mac, I am happy to be a noob with you.
Yeah, I have to hit you up on that, because I'd like to go and do some of the team games on that. And that
Yeah, my 13-year-old son kicks my ass, and it's well worth it.
I'll have my ass kicked too. I mean, the other thing I play occasionally is the one with the zombies.
That narrows it down a lot.
Left 4 Dead, yeah, Left 4 Dead 2, and I always have the worst. I always have the worst statistics at the end of the match. But yeah, I kind of enjoy them. I always enjoyed Enemy Territory as well. Other than that, yeah. We caught a really good series on Amazon Prime. It's called Deutschland 83. I don't speak German, so I don't know what 83 is in German. So sorry for all the German speakers. It's actually German. It's subtitled in English, and basically it's about a East German spy gone over to West Germany in 1983 during the time of the Able Archer exercise, which at the time the Soviet Union thought was cover for a preemptive strike against the Eastern Bloc. So that's a pretty good series. I'd recommend watching that. It's
So is it historical, or is it like an old
no,
it's history?
It's a dramatization. It's not based on. It's fictional characters, but it's the framework of it is the actual events that were going on back in 1983. The funny thing is, I'm watching it and I'm thinking because you get glimpses of East Germany as well, and the banned books, and I was thinking, all they have to do, if only they knew that all they had to do was wait 7 years, they could avoid all this risk. But yeah, there's also we're on the first series now. There's a second series which is like, I think it's Deutschland 86 or something, which picks it up a few years later. So anyway, we're really enjoying that. So that's a good one. Also watching Buffy. I never back in the day when it was new. I never saw Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I'm enjoying that too. That's another series we're going through. So
After watching Buffy, you have to move on to Angel too. By the way.
yeah, and also we started on Good Omens. We've watched the first episode of that.
Good Omens is hilarious and brilliant.
That was really good. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
so that's
it's
another
perfect
recommended.
casting in
Yeah.
Good Omens.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, although I can't help seeing Doctor Who. David Tennant's in it, and
Who doesn't
I
like
just
Doctor
see
Who and
Doctor
Bilbo
Who.
Baggins as demons and gods? Well,
Yeah.
angels and demons.
No, it's not Bilbo Baggins. Martin Sheen didn't play Bilbo Baggins, really.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. It's,
Or Michael
yeah,
Sheen.
Martin Sheen. Yeah, it's. Yeah, I'm thinking it's Bilbo Baggins, but it isn't. You're right. Sorry.
But yes, he certainly is channeling Doctor Who at some point in the series, which is no bad thing.
But yeah, it's yeah, they're 3 on the watch list right now. So yeah, we've been enjoying those. So, and it's actually just started to rain here for about the first time in 6 weeks. So there you go.
Hurrah!
Right, so what have I been up to? Well, in game, I've obviously just gone and bought my fleet carrier and fully decked it out. Been taking on a whistle-stop tour of where all my ships are because I'm too tight to pay for them to be shipped in one place. So I've been moving my carrier around, sort of hoovering
I have
ships
heard
up.
that apparently Commander Pilot has already joined and docked up with the Orange Ice Lolly or something like that.
I think I called it the Orange Carrier, I think it was. It was something boring. But yes, I also actually used some arcs this week, and I expect we'll come on to that later, to make my carrier more attractive to very welcome and pleasing guests. So, Doc, enjoy yourself. Enjoy the hospitality of my carrier. So that's what I'm doing in game. Out of game, I have not been banned from driving by the Tesla this week.
Does this just mean you're learning to hack it instead?
Well, not really hack it. It's got foibles like the we watched a video of someone who sort of tests the limits of the autopilot and the self-driving, and we were noticing how and where they were positioning their hands on the wheel, because we kind of had our hands resting at the bottom of the wheel as if you were driving a normal car. But apparently there are sensors. Your steering wheel's got like a T shape, isn't it? So you've got the supports either side, and there are sensors either side of the T. So if you rest your hand either side of the T, you're touching both sensors, so it doesn't ever come and nag at you. There used to be a trick before Tesla fixed it, where you could cut an orange nearly in half, put a cloth over the orange, and then put the orange over the wheel, and the tension of the orange being clamped to the wheel would allow you to drive along with impunity. But Tesla stopped that because that's how these accidents happened, where people were killed, unfortunately. So yes, I haven't been banned from that. We also had, very boring, but we had the home charger put in today.
The what?
The home charger.
Oh, your Tesla charger, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not the superly quick one, but that will cost £3,000 or £4,000 to have 3-phase put in the house and stuff like that. So this is a 7 kilowatt one, which is enough to charge the car in about 6 hours. So you plug it in, go to bed, and by the time you need it in the morning, it's got another 300 miles in. But the other thing I've got is I'm getting really into the math and the stats of it all. So it's really appealing to me from a statistical point of view. Like, we worked out it costs us at the moment £3.20 to put 300 and something miles in the car a time. So compare that to a tank of fuel, and it's yes, it's working out very cheaply.
Oh, nice.
I haven't made anyone vomit in it yet. I keep trying. I've had lots of "Jan, stop it no!" sounds, but nothing to make people vomit yet. Maybe I'll have to try it at LaveCon. So that's what I've been up to all week. So we've actually have some development news. There is good news.
Good news!
Ben, there's apparently a Galnet article, and it's not fake Galnet either.
Holy shit, there's a Galnet article, indeed. Yeah, no, there's... So, to release today, there's a Galnet article that... You'd have thought if they're going to release a Galnet article today, it would all about Brewer Corporation launching fleet carriers. But no. The Vitadine nanomedicines reach the galactic market. And basically this is all to do with a new rare good that's been released that is coming out in the... It's Elon Dock, I think it is. I had the location earlier. In the Kuma system. But yeah, if you head over to Kuma, then there is a new rare good for you to have, and it's all medicine-y.
Well, do we know the name of the rare good?
Vitadine nanomedicines. I think that's the name of the rare good, I suspect.
Nice.
But I can't get in game, so I can't go to Kuma, so I can't double check. But if I could, I would.
Do we know the quantities of it? Because I know a lot of rare goods have a limited quantities, and like only 2 or 3.
Yes.
Well, if I could get in game, then I could get to the Kuma system, then I could have a look at it, and then I could try, but I can't.
Excellent.
But otherwise, I would.
So do we think this Galnet article will actually lead anywhere other than to the rare good? Do you think it's
presumably it's going to lead to the Kuma system.
Well, I
That's
thought
what I said. Other than that, I mean, is there a CG or something?
I thought it would be sort of setting the stage for another Interstellar initiative, but Peter Wotherspoon said that he thought actually going to be wrapping up the inclusion of a storyline to introduce that rare good that Ben mentioned. So no, it doesn't look at the moment like it's leading anywhere. It's a bit of a blast from the past, though. I was like, wow! Suddenly, there's a 300 words that doesn't relate to gameplay at all.
Holy shit!
And came out of absolutely nowhere when they said they weren't going to do that anymore. So pretty surprising.
Which is really ironic because they said there wasn't going to be a Galnet article today on today's "We're launching a new patch" stream.
Indeed.
Maybe they meant wasn't going to go on that article about the patch.
No idea, but yeah,
Nicely
ironic.
Another rare good. That's another Sagi article, I think.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep,
definitely.
Right. So even more news. Fleet carriers are finally out. So who is buying one, intending to buying one, and what usage are you going to put it towards?
I'm still not buying one.
I don't.
But I will use.
I think that I like the fact that they exist now, but I'm still not convinced that it's worth buying one. But really, that's because I think I'm on a bit of a break from Elite at the moment, and they are not enough to get me to the prospect of grinding all that money so I can have one doesn't appeal enough to. They're not appealing enough for me to think that's a decent trade-off. I like that they're there, and I now have that. There is a direction arrow to my earnings in game. Like they're not just going to accrue uselessly now. At some point, I will buy one with money that I earn in game, and I like that option is there in the future. But I don't feel a burning desire to have one now.
I'm getting one as soon as I can log in. I'm getting one. I have.
So
I do have. We got BGS uses for them. So mine. And get one. I'm gonna fit it out with. It'll have a shipyard. So when we're having to deal with BGS work in those systems with only medium pads, people can summon their ships there. It'll have repair and refuel, because when you go to a lot of these small systems, the outposts have one or the other, but never both. So yeah, I'm pretty much as soon as I can get to a fleet carrier system, I'm gonna have one.
right, so apparently there's also been a sale on.
No, I was going to say, what about yourself, Shan? Are you getting one? Well, I know you
I've
you
got
have
one.
got one, but what is your use apart from luring innocent commanders?
Well, that's enough, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I just think I'd just get one for the just for the lols, really. Haven't really got a use for it. What I probably will do is I'll store all my modules and all my ships on it, and then I'll just sort of like become a space hobo, carrying all my worldly possessions around in one place, maybe.
Seems like a good reason.
But we'll see. I mean, there's still lots of potential uses for them. Whether you deem them worth the money and the expenditure or not is a different. It is a personal question, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, so I've got one. Kind of. It's in Lave at the moment. Whether it'll stay in Lave, I'm not sure.
I do think that I do look forward to the ability to have all my ships in the same place. I think that will be really, really good. And I'm alright in thinking that you can that carrying all your ships is a standard thing now.
Yes, the personal shipyard.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
Exists. Well, no, it's not called a personal shipyard, but when you buy the carrier, it comes with a shipyard just for you.
Yeah.
If you want other people just to store their ships in your carrier, you have to buy the shipyard module.
Yeah. Okay. I was interested in. I was very interested to see that we now the mystery of the different carrier models has now been explained, and that it is just cosmetic items. I thought perhaps that they would be different. That the different models of carrier would be different functions, and that they would. I don't know. Some of them might have longer jump ranges, and some of them might have more cargo space or whatever. But it turns out that they are all just cosmetic and don't have any impact on statistics at all, which it might be slight general ennui creeping in, but I was slightly disappointed to see that they were cosmetic only and purchasable with arcs rather than being earnable with in-game gubbins and had an impact on gameplay. What do you guys think about that?
I like the designs they had when they showed them off last year. We had the exploration carrier and the
Yes.
compact. I like those designs. I'm not a huge fan of the current designs that are in the store. I'm kind of hoping they'll get more elaborate. I mean, one of them looks like it's running through a brick wall and got a squashed nose.
Yes, it does slightly. Yes.
And the other one, I don't know. I'm not sure of the almost spherical cockpit on the front of it. And so, yeah, I can see where they're going with it. I'm sure some people like them, but personally, they weren't for me. But So would you? Sorry.
I have to. I quite like the hammerhead of the Victory class one.
Well,
That's
that's
the one
one
that he's
that's
referring to, I think.
Yeah.
that's one that runs a brick wall.
Okay, no, I like that one because it looks. I don't know if it is, but it looks like it sort of just goes up crazy vertical, and I like that. I thought you were meaning the brick wall being the Fortune class one, which is just like very, very snub nose.
But what the actual Victory one did remind me of a little bit is some of the designs for capital ships in Star Wars.
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of what
Yeah,
I was
that's
getting
true,
off it as
yeah.
well.
The Nautilus, I think, has a slight 2001 Space Odyssey vibe to it.
Yeah.
It does, yes. I'm sure there'll be. I'm waiting for Christmas when they'll no doubt have a.
Oh, did we get a Christmas tree shaped one?
That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Imagine that.
You just have the little prongs of all the different branches, and everyone's got like a
Fairy lights extra.
I like that idea.
I like the fact they're using the designs. I like the fact that they're making it into game. It would be cool if there were variants of the Drake class. I assumed that the Drake class would be the pointy nose ones, and then the Hammerhead one would have its own name. I mean, they do have names: Fortune class, Victory class, Nautilus class. I assume that they would all be purchasable in game, and that your choice of fleet carrier would reflect your gameplay style. The fact that they are cosmetic alone is a little bit of a shame, I think.
You know what really actually upsets me about every one of these designs? None of them have a spoiler on the back.
It is weird that they have a front and a back, I think. I don't know, I've always found fleet carriers weird. Like, they're essentially space stations, and they travel in jumps, and yet they have thrusters on one end and what appear to be wings. Like, they look like vehicles designed to travel in a direction, but they don't really travel using any sort of useful definition of the word. They just sort of instantaneously jump from one place to another.
Well, that's the same as a lot of sci-fi ships, isn't it? They all tend to be designed as if they're going to fly through an atmosphere.
Yeah,
when
you're right.
They never do.
Yeah.
So yeah, we shall see. Have you had your eyes on any of the extras in the store? You know, the skins and the voice packs and things like that.
I like the look. I think if I got a fleet carrier, I'd get the Nautilus class one, and I'd put the salvage blue paint job on it. I think that those both look really, really pretty. I think when I eventually do get one in 2035 or something, I will thoroughly enjoy spending all the arcs that I've accrued on them.
So talking about the arcs, I mean, some of the items. What do you think about some of the pricing for some of the paint jobs and add-ons and things like that for carriers?
I'll leave that to Ben, I think.
I think some of the things. I mean, the 12,000 arcs for the layouts. Normal layouts are about 10 to 12, aren't they? For
normal ship kits, yeah.
For normal ship kits. So that seems reasonable. The paint jobs, again, they seem reasonable because they're normally about 3,000, 4,000, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that
Which,
seems,
considering how much paint there is, they're not bad.
Yes, yeah, I hadn't thought of that considering how much paint there is.
Great point.
What does surprise me, though, is how much the engine colours are. That seems... I can't get into the store at the moment to compare, which is another story in its own right. But the engine colour seems expensive to what I remember engine colouring being for normal things.
They used to
milk
be a
them
quid,
whales,
didn't they?
Well, yeah, they used to be £1 and now it's 4,000 arcs.
So what's that in real money?
I don't know. I've not actually bought any arcs, so.
But Sovereign says these things don't really go anywhere, so I'm not sure what the point of the engine colours are.
Yeah. I mean, at least in our ships, we leave nice coloured, pretty engine trails.
Well, the traditional...
I suppose it changed to the glow at the back, because they do have a glow at the back.
That's a personal bugbear of mine. Why, the ship is not moving anywhere. Why the hell are all the chuffing engines on?
Well, I think it's because you have to throttle up to enter frame shift. That's
but the ship is in orbit around its destination.
Yeah.
it's not doing some kind of plane to change maneuver, or it's not accelerating anywhere. The ship is just sitting there in chuffing orbit. Why are its main engines turned on?
I do feel like the minds that designed the spaceports have now left the building, and the people who have designed the fleet carriers definitely are not the kind of people that think about things like realism. One thing that I think this is going to sound completely stupid, and I am definitely one of these immersion nutcases, but the fact that fleet carriers apparently have gravity without spinning really annoys me. So if in the hangars, look around and you will see goods stacked up in piles. Fleet carriers don't spin.
Space Velcro.
And artificial gravity.
What about when you go to an outpost? They don't have goods looking around.
There's nothing. There's no things piled on each other. There's no evidence of gravity. So in the Elite universe, until fleet carriers, the only gravity was centripetal force or whatever it's called. Yeah, rotation. And it really annoys me that whoever and when we mentioned it to Dav, his response was, "Oh, you'll have to take that up with the art guys." It baffles me that there is not a single hand on the tiller.
That to me sounds like Dav has mentioned it himself and is essentially crying into his code or something like that.
Maybe I don't know him well enough to know whether that's likely or not. It just annoyed me because it's sort of evidence that there isn't a single hand on the tiller saying this is the universe we're creating anymore, which just really pissed me off.
How do you know they're not hollow crates?
Because they would float. Things would float. They should be
floating. Not the hollow.
Everything in that ship should be floating, or they should be spinning. And the fact that it's not is spectacularly irritating. And it's sort of, I don't know, one of the reasons that Elite interested me back in 2012, 2013 was the degree of fidelity and realism that went into, the hand wringing that went into justifying the frameshift drive, and the reason they named it that, and the way they described the design of the Coriolis and stuff, and the fact that the docking bay was in the middle so that it would have about 0.1 G, so that you could handle freight much more easily, whereas the houses would be on the outside so that they enjoyed a comfortable 1G. And I love that stuff. And it's just clear that whoever designed that is now checked out, and whoever's replaced them is just thinking spaceships, because they look cool. They've got great big thrusters on the back, even though they don't actually accelerate or move in normal space. So but I'm being a massively bitter immersion hound, and they are great, and it's good that the game has them. They are just little niggles.
So there was the downtime was quite extended, wasn't it, today? I think they took it down at 8:30 in the morning, and it was back up at 6-ish.
They said they had some rollout problem.
But the servers do seem to be a bit more, I'm touching wood here, a bit more stable than what they have been in previous releases. I mean, there's been a few issues, but I did see a notice that said they're on top of it.
I have managed to log in now, so yes, I would agree. They've things are starting to come up now.
And the patch notes, anything jumped out at you in the patch notes that you were not expecting?
There have been patch notes. I'm sorry, I haven't seen the patch notes.
Yes, there were patch notes that were released at 11 o'clock this morning, and I don't think anything actually jumped out massively at me. It was nice that they actually added in about CQC.
What's the CQC thing?
Added the ability to queue for CQC matchmaking from in-game.
Oh, nice.
So they've actually acknowledged that. That's always nice. I think everything else we kind of knew about, I think.
There's one thing I did notice tonight. On the options pane used to just have three things: your graphics, sound, controls. But now it's also got a network settings thing in there, which is fairly prominent, and it gives you statistics and all that kind of stuff, and the ability to turn a log file on. So if you're having networking problems and you want to send something to support or a bug report, it's now easy to This may have been somewhere in the options before, and I just didn't see it. But it's now a lot more. It's certainly a lot more obvious than it ever used to be.
There is one good thing. It was in the patch notes from before, but I would like to highlight that players can now block any player, not just friends or pending friends.
Yeah, I love that so much. I've got a spreadsheet of people who have.
So we need to share. We need to share that and just have a name and shame spreadsheet somewhere for just like block these people.
You realise
I'll
I will
happily
not
share
be
it with you.
happy, Shan, if my name is on that list.
You're
Your name
in
might be
there at
on
number
it.
one.
If you blow anybody I know up or are seen boasting about blowing people up indiscriminately, then I will gleefully add your name to it, Shan. But at the moment, it is made up of, it's about 50 names on there, and it is just people that who boast on the server about on the forums about blowing people up, or who have blown me up, or who have blown friends of mine up, and it is nothing personal. You are absolutely entitled to your style of play, as I am perfectly entitled to remove you from mine. So I'll happily share it with whoever would like to.
You know what that reminds me of, Sue? The classic Dad's Army episode. You are on the list. Don't tell him, Pike.
Don't tell him your name, Pike.
Dads, aren't you?
Yeah, on those lists, I don't put them on a list. I put them on a different list. I put them on the EIC Let's Get a Posse Together and Blow Them Up list in revenge.
I was actually talking about posses. I was having fun basically doing that with Grant's wife and a bunch of other commanders in Red Dead Redemption. Somebody decided they were going to go off and shoot Traxa from Hutton Orbital, and we basically then spent about an hour chasing after them and shooting them dead.
Nice.
It was deserved.
That sounds great fun.
It really was.
So, have you bought any of the voice packs for carriers?
That probably goes to Mac, I guess.
No, because I haven't quite bought. I'm just arriving in DSO now, so I don't know. I don't have enough arcs to buy everything, so I'm gonna have to make some decisions. Yeah, I might go.
Maybe Norman can help you with one of the decisions. Norman, would you mind playing Hannah? If Norman's
Insert white space for Hammer.
Yes, I was going to say she sounds a little bit
Welcome,
quiet.
Commander. I am Hannah. I will be your flight controller today.
That is GLaDOS.
What do you require?
Yes.
That is so GLaDOS.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I thought it sounded like one of the for Mash Get Smash robots.
Oh, I don't know about those.
You're too young, but yeah.
Has anyone actually been to Baran, by the way? That's a good question.
Why? What's there?
I'm just wondering if there's any hotspots there at the moment.
There's probably a funeral going on in there over the loss of the hotspots. I keep thinking of checking out because you never know, the triple LTD might have turned into something like a triple
void
tritium.
opal or something, or tritium maybe.
Or because I don't know whether it's just I'd never looked in the beta to see how the reshuffle would work, whether there were still the same hotspots in the same places that just had different stuff, or whether the hotspots were all in completely different places. So I shall have to check that out, because the triple hotspot was fairly prominent, and that will show whether it's been just a shuffling of the content and the hotspots, or the hotspots themselves.
I'm still using up fireworks in a celebration that it's gone.
I'm sure that there will be alternative triple hotspots around.
Well, it depends,
and people will
because
find them soon enough.
Sorry, it depends, because if the sale price I've seen displayed for LTDs is that low still, I'm not sure it doesn't matter whether you have triple hotspots or
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter
quintuple
about that,
hotspots.
but the triple hotspots might exist. It just might be worthless. Oh, triple hotspot tritium or something.
Yeah, I see the point you're making.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised if it's I I think it's probably just re-rolled the dice on every ring,
Oh.
everywhere, and
Appar-
there'll be something comparable, but it'll be somewhere completely different.
Apparently, Commander's Law's been to Boran already, and there's no triple or double hotspots in the usual ring, but there is a wee bit of tritium.
In which case, it sounds like it's actually it's not just reshuffle the content; it's actually reshuffle the locations as well.
Which
Yeah.
is kind of odd, really, because it goes back to what Sue was saying about having a consistent galaxy. Because you would think if the astrological and geological conditions existed to create low temperature diamonds, they wouldn't all of a sudden just go away because tritium's been there. You'd think there'd be less of them.
Beetlejuice is adding in. There's now some Alexandrite and a wee bit of diamonds.
I think what's happened is we've been flipped into a parallel universe. You know how they say there's an infinite number of parallel universes based on every quantum decision there ever could have been, and that's basically what's happened now. We've been flipped into a parallel universe, so which is very slightly different. The only difference between this universe and the old one is that mineable tritium exists.
I think I prefer the mirror universe we visited a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Oh, we all have evil goatees.
Yes.
So okay, so there's a live stream on Thursday, isn't there? Or there was. Who
There was a live stream on Thursday, yes.
Yeah, who attended that?
I was listening in on that one. Basically, Stephen and him, I want to say it was, were basically just playing, and they were, ironically enough, they were doing some mining as well. And they were just having a chat. Now, obviously, this was just after the Odyssey announcement came out, so everybody on
Shall we
stream was
move that
going
to
on
our
about
main
VR
topic?
and things.
Yeah, let's move that to our main one, I think.
Yeah. So basically, it was just Tim and Stephen flying about and trying to deflect sodium chloride.
Okay, well, I guess we'll come on to that.
Successful
later
deflection.
on.
Pardon?
Successful deflection.
Not really. Everyone was just like a dog with a bone sticking at it, and they were just like, "Well, fine, fuck you. We're not going to talk to you then," and just ignored people instead.
Yeah, fair.
So it's a nice segue into our main topic, and we'll have an advert after this point. I've got a note here. There's possibly more information on Odyssey on June the 13th, the PC Gamer Show. Where did that snippet come from?
Was that you, Suv, or was it Colin who added that?
Wasn't me.
Okay, well, apparently there is a gaming con coming in. This is news to me. I'm surprised because it's in America. They don't give a shit. And somebody thinks that they might have something, but I don't know if I can see anything about Frontier in here.
How does social distancing work with a gamer show? Because those
I said it's in America. They maybe don't care. It's in Los Angeles. They're probably just denying it.
I'm not sure I'd be wanting to go there. I mean,
no.
Game shows, gamer shows and stuff like that are usually a hotbed of viruses and plague.
You
and
get gaming crud anyway, don't you?
Conflu, yeah.
But Frontier are apparently there, so they may say something, they may not. Who knows?
Maybe they're sending people they don't like.
Possibly.
I think they might just be there virtually because I think, you might be able to get flights to the US.
Well, that's
UK right now.
Oh, yeah, but when you came back, you'd have the 2 weeks of quarantine, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Well, we're already in quarantine anyway, still technically just.
Well, we're not.
No, if you come back to the UK, you're in 2 weeks quarantine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I am very surprised. I know it might well be virtual, because they're saying with this year's PC gaming show, we still wanted to deliver on the spectacle and level of production the gamers expect from gaming press conferences. We're not just going to show people a 2-hour Zoom call with some video games on it. We want this to be a unique and fun gaming moment. In previous years, it's been broadcast from somewhere in LA, blah, blah, blah. Starting from scratch inside an LA soundstage, enabling the PC gaming show, creating playful sets for the show's 2 hosts. And then they've got 2 virtual sets, including a custom-built physical set to recreate a thematic through line of the show's dozens of segments. So yeah, it does actually sound like it's all online on twitch.tv/PCGamer or youtube.com/PCGamer. This Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Whatever time
So
that is.
what's that in UK time?
Mac, aren't you American?
No,
No.
I'm.
So your homework during
Hey,
the
Google.
advert
What time
is
is
to
11
find out.
a.m. Pacific time in GMT?
It's minus. It's
1800 Tuesday in Greenwich Mean
Oh.
Time.
show
6
off.
p.m.
It's minus 8 hours.
So 11 a.m. is 6 p.m. for us.
Oh, incidentally, sort of going segueing on back to the fleet carriers very briefly. There was a question about the what was the backers discount for a fleet carrier, because the backers discount was always on insurance. Of course, fleet carriers don't have them. Anyway, I'm looking at the screen now, and if you're a backer of the right level, a Kickstarter backer, you will be able to, instead of 5 billion credits, it's 4,875,000,000 credits.
Interesting.
And also, the fleet carrier vendor's name at DSO is spelt wrong.
How's that?
Well, it says it's Evan Munoz, which should be the N should have a tilde over it because it's a Spanish name, you see, and the Spanish alphabet has 27 letters. The N with the tilde over it isn't an accented N; it's a completely separate letter, and this is really important, actually. Yeah, Enya, and it's really important because if you consider the word año, which means year, and if you take that little tilde off, you get ano, which means anus. So, so if you spell it wrong, because if you want to say how old you are, for instance, if you want to say I am 40 years old, you say tengo 40 años, which means I have 40 years. But if you say tengo 40 años, it means you have 40 anuses, which is probably not what
It's a different
you really
thing,
want to say.
definitely
Yeah, it's a different thing entirely, and it would make you somewhat
impressive.
somewhat of an unusual specimen. But yeah, the Enya is actually quite important, and English speakers are always they just think, oh, it's just an accent, we can leave it off, just like we did in French class when we left all the grave and the cute accents off our French, you know. But actually, that one's really important to get right in certain circumstances.
1,000 years have passed though, or well over 1,000 years. Could it be that naming people after multiple anuses is actually really common in the 33rd century or whatever it is?
Well, yeah, I suppose so. But yeah. Anyway, that's just my little bugbear.
Personally, I think the 40 anus thing is just full of.
Suv, is that just how Slovenian now sounds awful? Well, sorry, Slavic accents sound awfully like Middle English.
Yeah. The man we've spoke to had a pronounced Slavic accent, and then Peter Wotherspoon drops in with "Hello, everyone." Very amusing.
So, shall we have a quick some adverts?
I love adverts. I thought you'd never ask.
As long as you got the one about fish.
We don't. We have a new broadcast, shall we say, from LCU for like no one.
Oh, come on. Pick up the phone. I've been on hold for 3 hours already. Hello.
Thank you for calling the Brewer Corporation, home of the Drake-class fleet carrier. Your call is important to us. All of our operators are busy right now. Please hold while we connect you.
Oh, for goodness sake, you told me that already. I just want to speak to a human being.
Thank you for calling the Brewer Corporation, home of the Drake-class fleet carrier. Your call is being recorded for training purposes.
Hello, my name is Sanjay Patel. How can I be of assistance?
Good day. I recently purchased a fleet carrier from a dealer in Alcor.
Can I have your name, please?
You should already have my name.
Thank you. You should already have my name. Could I have your fleet carrier serial number?
No, that's not my name. I'm LCU No Fool Like One of Canon Interstellar. I've already gave the information and my serial number to that infernal voice menu before I was put on hold.
Your serial number, please, sir.
M for mnemonic, 8, 4, P for pneumatic, 0, Z for zlotys.
Let me just read that back to you. N for mnemonic.
No, M for mnemonic.
Oh, you mean N for November?
M, you mother.
M for mother. 8, 4, P for Papa, 0, Z for Zulu.
Yes.
Can I have your name, please, sir?
I already gave you my name just a minute ago.
Sorry, my records don't show that ship. It shows it's registered to just a minute ago.
My name is LCU No Fool Like One.
How do you spell LCU?
Seriously? It's L for llama, C for Q, and U for Uber.
Thank you for answering the security question. I can confirm that you are the registered owner. How can I help you today?
I've been racing to get to the Lemon Slice Nebula and got as far as HIP 54967. I tried plotting a jump to HIP 63885 and the navigation computer says there are no free slots.
Ah, it's a safety feature, sir. Have you read the manual? If the number of carriers exceeds the maximum number allowed in the system, then the jump will be disallowed.
But there aren't any carriers in the system. Nobody can jump. None. 0.
0 is a number, sir.
What?
0 is a number. If the maximum number is 0, then you can't jump into the next system.
How can anyone jump if the maximum number is 0? Can you change it?
Right, let me check. Computer says no.
Look, the navigation system is clearly faulty. Can't you replace it?
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Of course I've tried turning it on and off again.
Okay, could you initiate the reboot and repair sequence, please, sir?
Oh, very well.
Diagnostic repair sequence initiated. Thrusters offline. Shields offline. Power plant capacity exceeded. Repair sequence successful. Shields online. Thrusters online.
Are you able to schedule the jump now?
Computer says no.
Right, could you initiate the reboot and repair sequence, please, sir?
I just did that. Look, can't you just send a replacement?
Right, as the unit is still under warranty, you are entitled to a replacement. You just need to go to the dealer in Alcor.
Oh, that is just peachy. I'm 4,000 blistering light years from the dealer, and I don't have enough tritium to get there in any case. And even though I wanted to, the navigation computer won't allow me to jump into the system because there are no free slots. I demand to speak to your supervisor.
I'm sorry that I wasn't able to resolve your problem to your satisfaction. Let me put you through to my supervisor.
Thank you for calling the Brewer Corporation, home of the Drake-class fleet carrier. We hope we were able to resolve your query to your satisfaction. Please could you take a few minutes to answer our customer satisfaction survey.
What? I'm not finished. Oh, for goodness sake.
Using your touch-tone keypad, please enter a number between 1 and 1 million to indicate how satisfied you were with this call.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, that was a mini sketch, wasn't it? Really. So I'm sure we'll can all relate to that one.
Yes.
Right. So our main topic is, of course, the Odyssey announcement. So we'll just quickly go around the table and get people's initial thoughts. So when they first saw it, the announcement or the video or whatever, what was your initial thought when you saw it? So we'll start off, I think, with Ben.
Jetpack! Was my initial thought. I got very excited, possibly a little bit too excited by the fact we've got jetpacks, and it looks like we can use them at the very least to not die when jumping off a cliff, and maybe even to fly up a cliff. But we'll see about
Unless they have fuel, and then they're specially designed to run out of fuel when you're.
that. I was thinking that.
The thing about the jetpacks, I want them to be made by Acme. So you're with a Wile E. Coyote as you're going over the cliff. Sue, what did you think?
I was initially really excited, and I remember watching it when I stopped. I saw Ben posted it, and I stopped my work and put it on the main screen and watched it, thinking, "This is it. This is what I've been waiting 6 years for now, I think, and 7 years actually." And I watched it through, and it struck me as very minimalist. And I didn't really, and I sort of dismissed that slightly, and didn't really think about it. I thought, well, there's only so much they can cram in, and was excited. I am one of the people who has basically accepted the leak last year as pretty much an accurate representation of what Frontier's plans looked like then. So the knowledge that we were getting space legs with first-person combat was not surprising at all. It was just a confirmation of basically what I already fully expected. Since then, a few sober voices have pointed out that the video contained no images from inside starships, and some people have been saying for months, "Oh well, I think it'll just be a fade to black like the SRV." And I was like, "Well, no, of course they won't do that because it would be completely terrible." And I am starting to wonder whether actually that might be the case, because the promo stuff about Odyssey has so far focused on odd things. So social hubs. We're going to have social hubs. There are going to be social hubs. The hubs will be social. What the hell is a social hub? Is it different from something like Shinrata Desra, for example, or Felicity Farseer? Because they seem quite social and hubbish.
Or borrow the system chat.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm slightly, I don't know, social hub slightly smacks of the kind of the areas that you run around in to see other people's gear in Destiny or Anthem or something like that. I don't know. It slightly smells of MMO bullshit, really. The idea of a social hub. I mean, somebody pointed out that actually social hub could mean that they've added a bar that you can walk into in every space station, which is proc gen to some degree, and has characteristics that reflect the system controller's allegiance and the economy of the system. If so, brilliant. I'm well up for that. I'm well up for a social hub being a bar that you can go and hang out in Shinrata, for example. That'd be super cool. If social hub is some bullshit MMO device that you beam to just show off your latest flare that you bought with ARCs off the store, then count me out. I was a little bit worried that we didn't see any ship interiors, and I'm now starting to think that possibly it will be the fade to black like the SRV. And also, it's very much the blurb was all about explore new worlds, explore planets, go and explore planets. It's all about exploring the planets. Well, what about space stations? What about starships? So at the moment, the scope that we've seen so far is very much this will nearly be a separate executable. It will be limited to exploring planets, which may or may not be really cool. The one that I saw in the video looked very much like the planets we already have access to. People keep referring to the blue sky. That'd be great. That'd be super good. I just feel that if you were teasing a big new feature, you would probably focus on the most exciting things. And I find it odd that Frontier are leading with social hubs. I find that very, if it was me, if it was my game, I'd be like, fucking atmospheres, sodding space legs. You're going to walk around your bloody ships, aren't you? God, how exciting this is. I find it very weird that they're focused on the things they have. And either it's, you could explain it because by the fact that they are seeking to address problems that casual players have identified with Elite. For example, it's quite easy to play it and never come across another player. And if that is the case, then crowing about social hubs might make sense. It might address a problem that casual players have identified with the game. Another likelihood is that they're leading with what they have, and what they have is a proc-gen mission generation system on planet surfaces, and nothing else. No ship interiors, no starship interiors, no EVA, which would be a shame, because my preference would have been to definitely model the insides of ships and let us explore those and let us customize those and let us turn our starships into our bases. Let us turn our starships into our homes in space, and let us repair them with EVA and board each other's ships and all the good stuff that we were trained to look forward to by David Braben back in 2012 and 2013. But anyway, what did you guys think?
To Mac, I think that one is.
Yeah, I saw it and it was like, oh my god, that's atmospheric. Because that was what I was kind of resigned to the fact that I don't care that much about the whole space legs thing, and I was kind of resigned. Well, it'll be space legs. I'll probably enjoy it anyway, etc., etc. And then I saw there was if you look at the planet textures, for instance, there. If we think back to the delayed or cancelled ice planet upgrade, you can see there's been some significant improvement to the actual planet surfaces, disregarding the atmosphere at all. Which is always nice. Always nice to get a bit of a graphical upgrade, but just seeing that blue sky there, because I remember years and years ago in Frontier First Encounter, I always loved even though the graphics by today's standards are very basic, it was always nice climbing out an atmosphere and having it fade to black as you climbed higher and higher, and kind of seeing the like a gas giant.
But space in Frontier was also very blue, wasn't it?
It was, but there was a utility called Force Cull which forced it to black.
Okay.
And that's basically the first thing because the First Encounters was coming out just about when the internet was becoming reasonably accessible, and utilities like this were already there was a utility called Force Cull, and then later on, John Jordan, who reverse engineered FFE, did various fixes like making it natively black space. That always irritated me about the blue space in First Encounters. So yeah, but Force Cull was just it was a little utility that just did a trick with a palette to force it to black rather than whatever shade of blue it was. Where was I? And then my hopes were completely dashed a day later. I'd gone from a euphoric high to an absolute crushing low when they said VR will not be supported. The thing is, well, I've still, and this is it's a good job I was holding off upgrading my VR kit, because I've at least managed to save myself quite a lot of money not upgrading it, to only have my hopes dashed. Because the thing is with VR, when I'm actually playing Pancake now, because otherwise, if I've got the headset on, I bang my mic around. So if I'm using my microphone, I tend to just play in Pancake. But the thing is, when you're playing on a flat screen, you're playing the game. When you're in VR, you're in the game. And I would be very happy with a halfway house, which means you can do everything spaceship flying and SRV flying still in VR and Odyssey, but you'll have to pop the headset off for the FPS part, or even an experimental VR mode where you have to edit a configuration file to to enable it. So it's obviously not supported, but it's there if you want it. And even using the keyboard, mouse, and the WASD keys and the mouse. I mean, there are some people that make sick in VR, but I've got the heart and stomach of a concrete elephant, so I can do it, and quite a few other people can do it as well.
Yeah, me too.
You kind of get your VR legs after a while anyway. You can eventually make your brain decouple a VR experience from real life, and I mean, some people can never get that far because it just makes them so irretrievably sick. But VR is probably not for them anyway, because that's probably something they'll never get around. But yeah, it was crushingly disappointing. If it is literally no, it also depends how much of this gets backported to Horizons, because it would be I would be fine with, you can go onto the new atmospheric planets, you can see the new graphical updates, etc. in VR if you load up Horizons. But we'll have to wait and see on that. There's the trouble is that this video clip as well was only like a minute and a half long. There's only so much information in it, and the trouble is we've speculation, of course, is more rampant than ever. It'd be nice. It's a bit of a double-edged sword for Frontier, of course, because if they publish some kind of roadmap and they have to change it, you always get the salty masses going, but you promised, you said you'd do this, and well, so I can understand why they're so secretive, but it would be nice if they could just clarify a few of these. As you say, the whole will it include ship interiors or won't it? Is it just going to be a fade to black? Is it on the right? If it is fade to black, is it on the roadmap where we will have ship interiors, etc., etc.?
Yeah. Do you intend to? I mean, I sort of,
Yeah.
if it was the Horizons model, I'd be happy with a very limited implementation followed by gradual rollout of the extra features. So maybe first 6 months is fade to black planets, second 6 months is ship interiors, third 6 months is EVA, etc.
Yeah, I was just thinking of my own feelings when I watched it. Someone messaged me in one of the Discords I'm in saying, "Sham, gotta look at this," and it was a link to the video that was posted on Reddit after the leak, and I initially felt quite disappointed at the reveal, not necessarily because of the content, but the way in which it got out. I would have wanted to see a special announcement a week Thursday, be there, or have a kind of build up for it, and then all of a sudden be shown this video. That's kind of what I wanted to see. It almost feels like I was walking down the street and someone gave me a spoiler to, I don't know, the end of the Star Wars movie or something like that.
I think we were fairly.
Well,
I
we
think
were, but it was about.
Everybody's fairly convinced it was an accident, aren't they?
Well, I'm pretty sure it was because, and this is the thing about it, is you don't upload videos to YouTube unless you plan to release it pretty soon. You don't just load it up just in case. And if it was going to be released on the 13th of June, then why not upload it a couple of days before? Why not? I don't know, but yeah, it was the same with the fleet carrier reveal at LaveCon last year, didn't it? That leaked out as well via a YouTube thing, and so I was just disappointed with the way it came out after all the expectation, and having it leaked out on a Reddit video, it just seemed a bit anticlimactic actually. And I know full well they didn't intend it to, but we're talking about how we felt here. As for the content of it, I'll leave that till last, and I'll come to the VR part. I can completely, at a logical level, understand why VR isn't in it yet, or if ever, because we talked about issues with the locomotion, we talked about issues with the controls, and all these other things that people are having issues with VR. But at a heart level, I wanted to stand on an alien world, look around at twin suns coming up over the horizon, and I wanted to be on that planet, and I wanted to feel as I'm on that planet. And looking at a flat screen, even in 4K with everything all turned on, is not the same as seeing it in VR. And I think that is what my disappointedness is about. Is I was really hoping to be able to look around and almost do the bending down and figuratively scooping the soil up. That sort of feeling of being there. Because pending a complete miracle, I will never get to do that. And it's something I think most science fiction fans have always dreamed about them doing. And at the moment, it doesn't seem as though we're going to get that. And that was why I was disappointed in it. As for the mechanic, it's interesting. They don't show the spacemen and women. They don't show them wandering around with tricorders and doing investigation. They show them with guns. And so the whole potential of exploration and investigation and stuff, on the face of it, doesn't seem to be there. It seems to be almost like a Planet Side 2 with elite spaceships and assets. And I'm sure you'll get the chance to walk around, like, figuratively on a planet. I'm sure that will happen. But then why would you not do that in an SRV?
Yeah.
So I
Ben?
completely... Sorry, Ben.
Well, I mean, taking. I agree with what you're saying that we're seeing everybody walking around with big guns, but just as equally, if you look on the hips of everybody, they all have different attachments. Some have things that look like very obvious bags. Others have things that look closer to some kind of scanner.
I think we're making a mistake by going too much on the on what was revealed in that video. It was pre-alpha footage.
Everybody likes their big guns and their explosions as well.
I agree.
Walking around going,
yeah,
beep,
I agree, and
beep,
it
beep.
is cool that we're going to get. It is very cool that we're going to get jetpacks. That's a brilliant decision.
Yes.
But people really, I saw somebody commenting on the fact that one of the spacesuits had like bars across the visor and stuff, and I'm like, well, it is pre-alpha. It's basically concept art. I mean that leads to another point, which is my amazement that it's that they're still at the point where it's pre-alpha. They've been planning this for 5 years or so, and if David Braben is to believe, they've been planning it for most of a decade. How is it still pre-alpha? I don't understand that. It was due to release in December. I don't get it.
I would say anything that is not released to an open beta is alpha, so that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, okay.
It's all internal development hot builds.
Stephen Usher made a good point in chat. He says most of the supporting text for the release that was posted on the forum is combat focused.
Yep. But if you think about it, some of the press agencies got some concept art as well. And the concept art shows what I would be guessing would be the social hubs. So, for example, there is definitely the Jizzy's bar.
Whose?
It looks like it says Jizzy's to me.
That's just your dirty mind, Ben.
It says Jizzy. Might be Jizz. JIZJS, maybe? And then maybe an underscore is some weird Spanish thing from the future. I don't know.
You're so fortunate Colin isn't on the show this week, otherwise you would have slayed him.
Okay. If Colin were to be saying anything today, I would just mention Audio City. And we'll just leave that there, I think. Colin knows what I'm talking about.
Audacity, surely.
Audio City.
Audio City.
And I just want to pick up on something Sue said about the social hubs. For a fair amount of people, having a good social hub where they can sit down and drink virtual beer and have conversations about how pretty they look is an essential part of the game, and it creates content for things. So
I agree.
Totally agree there.
So I'm hoping it's not just like the trying the game in the Wing Commander series. You had like a space bar, and you'd walk in the space bar, and there'd be a few NPCs you talk to, and then there'd be the mission board on a screen somewhere. I hope it's sort of just not like a pretty version of a mission board. I hope it's wider than that and deeper than that. And
I hope it's actually social, because I remember going back to World of Warcraft, and Shan can go into Guild Wars, but night elves dancing on mailboxes outside of bars.
I agree about the fact that these things are important. It was the wording that interested me. It just struck me odd. It struck me as odd that social hubs was what they went with. Social hubs is an MMO thing. I found it weird that they didn't say something like, all those 60,000 beautiful, giant, really realistic space stations we made. Now you can explore them on foot. Rather, it was social hubs. I don't know. it was worrying by omission and just quite weird. Like the game doesn't actually lack places for players to get together. It's
But I can understand why you would limit the interior of a space station to a few social hubs.
yeah,
Because
totally, absolutely agree. Star Citizen is a really good example of how to do a landable area that has limited explorable area on foot, but it's still plausible and adds to immersion. You don't need to do the whole, you don't need to do the whole 5 kilometers of it. You just do a few areas.
Yeah.
But yeah, the indication was that these would be very separate.
I mean, if you think about our original, or very, very early discussions, where I think I suggested we get into an elevator or a turbo lift or whatever you want to call it, and it takes you to the bar. It takes you to the underworld. It takes you to the marketplace.
Yeah.
It takes you to your bedrooms. And then, and you don't worry about it after that. And basically the elevator is obviously it's a glorified loading screen.
Yeah, which is totally fine.
That's kind of what I'm picturing, but maybe it isn't.
Well, let's hope.
We'll have to see. I mean, the one thing that I really, really hope that hasn't been even hinted at is, as we were talking about earlier, I want to be able to get out of my seat and walk around my bridge and inspect and investigate the rest of my spaceship. I want to do that so badly, it's ridiculous.
I'm going to be a little bit sold here, but without VR, that would just seem like, I don't know.
Oh no, I still want to do it without VR.
You can do it in VR already. Well, your bridge anyway.
Yes.
I mean, you can if you get in your headset and stand up and then wander around. You can get to, like, the Anaconda, for instance. There's bits of the bridge you can't see from any of the camera positions.
So if you play Space Twister with the VR headset on, you can get to see stuff.
Yeah. So what you can do is kind of move, and you can see bits that no one else can see. The only thing is obviously they've not designed it with space legs and wandering around your bridge in mind, so there's no collision meshes, so you can just kind of walk through the side of the cockpit now onto the outside of the ship, and fortunately you don't asphyxiate. But it's been a thing for a while where VR users have kind of wandered around the interior of the flight deck, as it were. And even in things like the Cobra Mark III, there's a lot more you can see in VR, which you just simply cannot see. Well, you probably can with the camera views that came out a few years ago, but you certainly didn't used to be able to see at all without VR.
I mean, like the flight manual from the original Elite.
I haven't seen that one.
I think it's in the Sidewinder. If you look in one of the
Oh yeah,
pockets,
I've seen there's one in the Sidewinder. Yeah, I was thinking about the Cobra Mark III.
The other thing that I had, one of my thoughts when I saw the video, was the graphics and the engine. And one of the questions I have is, okay, well, will I need to buy a new graphics card to play this? And if I do, will the engine make use of ray tracing and all the exciting developments that have come out in the last couple of years? So what do you think? Are we going to need to buy new PCs for this, or?
I wouldn't have thought so. No, I think it's going to be an engine overhaul, and I think it'll the increase in hardware requirements. Safe to assume it will be similar to Horizons.
I wouldn't have thought so either, because if you're a VR user having to go back to Pancake, then your system requirements go down anyway. But actually the Elite's pretty well optimized right now. I mean, my machine's 5 years old, but with VRWay, it's having to render essentially 2 scenes. It is always entirely smooth. It used to be, a few years ago when it came out, there are bits where you get stuttering and stuff, and every so often after a patch something stutters for a bit, but they always fix it. And just recently in the last patch, for instance, everything is like completely silky smooth, absolutely everywhere. And although when I got my graphics card, it was quite high end. It was a GTX 980. I suspect it's going to be an entirely adequate for
Well, there's a difference though. If there's an FPS, there's a difference between playing an FPS at 60 frames per second and playing an FPS at 100 frames per second, or the level of smoothness and precision needed for a flight sim game is a lot less than playing an FPS.
but it has to maintain 90 FPS for the Rift, and it's doing that.
But not if it's not supporting VR.
Yeah, this is true. But
I mean, I would imagine you're getting over 100 FPS in pancake mode, yeah?
I haven't actually looked at my. I'm currently still trying to buy a fleet carrier, and I'm getting Blackadder errors.
dear.
I'm getting something went wrong, and then a Blackadder. I've tried going to a new system. I've tried solo. I've tried private group. I've tried open. I just can't buy a fleet carrier. But yes, because unfortunately, if you're in VR, you can't see any of those little widgets about FPS. So I don't even know what the keystroke combination is to make it come up.
I think it's Control Shift F.
Control. Let me try it now. Control Shift F. Well, it says I'm getting 30 FPS, but it looks like a lot more than 30 FPS. Oh, hold on. I'm not low. I'm still in the main.
So,
menu.
Mac, are you saying that fleet carriers is the elite equivalent of toilet paper now? Everyone's just queuing up.
Yes,
to buy one.
I think that's probably the issue. I think
Actually, no, it's baking powder. It's baking materials now, isn't it?
That's it. I think in
the new toilet
pancake mode,
paper.
I'm actually locked to the display's refresh rate, which is 60 FPS, because it's just showing a solid 60.
I guess also it's got to work on consoles, and yes, the next generation of consoles will be pretty beefy. But I'm just wondering whether or not this would be for PS4 and Xbox rather than the PS5. And I think it's Xbox X, isn't it? It's the new one.
I mean, they are saying it's aimed at the PS4 and Xbox One commanders.
Interesting.
Rather than
That's really
Odyssey doesn't need PS5 or they're just coming out to the end of 2020 as well, aren't they? So I'd imagine the number of people with them will be limited. I wouldn't be surprised if Elite Dangerous also works on the Xbox X?
Xbox One, One X, I think it's called.
Is it One X now?
Microsoft and their naming schemes. And the Xbox One was bad enough
stupid,
because you could confuse the Xbox One with the original Xbox.
Yes.
And now Xbox X with the.
Maybe they'll have a high performance of the Xbox Triple X or something like
that. Yes. And at least PlayStation, PS5, it's you understand what you're going to get.
So talking about the VR, there was a reply, wasn't there, to people's queries regarding VR? I think it came from Stephen. Was it Stephen who wrote this?
Stephen, I think it was Stephen.
There was one from Zach as well, which said basically, and I summarised. I don't have it in front of me. That basically, don't assume that any content at all that's slated for Odyssey will be VR compatible.
Yeah.
Sorry, it wasn't Stephen. It was Tim.
So the quote I've got is currently Elite Dangerous Odyssey will not be VR compatible at launch. We're big fans of VR and we are truly proud of the amazing experience that we currently offer in Elite Dangerous. However, the new gameplay mechanics and features that will be introduced with Elite Dangerous Odyssey means we had to re-examine if we could deliver that same experience without compromise, which for launch means Odyssey will not be VR compatible. And they did go later on though and say the Horizons and the base game would still be VR compatible. You're not losing VR at all, forever in those games. It's just
but you're not going to be able to. You might not be able to land on an atmospheric world.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be the same as landing on planets is now for.
If you're on a planet and then you flick over to the main game, into the base game, then you find yourself mysteriously in orbit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
well, I'm not.
It depends what they backport into Horizons, because they have backported some stuff from Horizons into the base game, except notably the graphical improvements for landable planets. If you are in Horizons and go just outside, so you're not you're not forcing anything. You go just outside orbital cruise, look at your landable planet, log out, and then log back in the base game. You'll see it appears very much different in the base game. It looks like they did back in 2015 when the game launched. But there is a technical reason for that, because the base game was like that because they were still supporting the Mac for a while, which did not support Qt shaders. However, these technical issues, there won't be a technical issue between Horizons and Odyssey, probably. Certainly not that nature. So maybe maybe at least the graphical improvements to landable planets will get backported. And I just hope, of all hopes, if there's not going to be any VR support in Odyssey, I just hope they do backport in landable atmospheric planets, so we can at least get to see a blue sky in our VR headsets. Anyway, Shan.
Yeah, I was about to think, because in some games I've played, and yes, I will mention Guild Wars 2 in it, but they don't natively have a VR mode, but they will project their screen on a VR headset, but it will still look VR-ish. You just won't be the complete, fully immersive experience. So I'm wondering whether it's going to be possible to do Odyssey in that quasi VR mode. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, Max, but
Yeah, no,
hopefully
I
you
haven't.
know.
It sounds like just like sitting in front of a cinema screen, if you see what I mean. So you get big projection, the size of your VR viewport, but it's
Yes, it
2D.
is like that. Well, it's like that. If you've seen the VR apps that allow you to play movies and stuff like that in VR, and you can look around and whatever. It's not the full 3D, but it's quasi. So I'm just wondering whether that is going to be possible, or will they just detect a headset plugged in and turned on and go, nah, not doing that. And Suv, you were mentioning earlier on about how the leak has been so far been very accurate. One of the differences they said, and I guess we can talk about this, was they said base building is not currently on the roadmap for Elite
Yeah,
Dangerous.
that interested me. I think the fact that the leak was so correct in every other way says to me that base building probably was planned at some point. And the fact that I think citation needed here, and I can't remember exactly what they were, but I'm pretty sure that we saw pretty sure that there were accidental reveals of cosmetics that might have been available for base building on the store as well. So that, to me, those two things together indicate that base building was very much planned at one point, and then has been scrapped in order to hit deadlines. Which personally I'm not too bothered by, because I don't really like base building in games anyway.
Could we have misunderstood the term base building? Because
Yeah.
are we talking like an Ark style base building? Is that what Frontier think we're talking about? Or Space Engineers, where you go and mine your materials and build your own bases and stuff like that? Or are they talking about you buy a module and it, I don't know, inflates itself, or something like that, or it's a room in a base, and that's what they call base building? I don't know. Are we kind of getting our definitions mixed up?
Maybe, I don't know. I think I'm pretty sure at some point, like a kind of inflatable hab was discussed, similar to the ones that we've seen in the Formidine Rift, in the settlements there. Little inflatable habitation things. I'm pretty sure that David Braben's spoken about potentially letting players establish those, build little bases made out of stuff like that in the early days. Some people have said that they think that the base building thing is linked to fleet carriers, which I really don't get that. Like, fleet carriers are basically space stations that you can customize. They don't have any of the features that you normally associate with.
Well, I was speculating, because we have the upkeep mechanic on fleet carriers. I was speculating that bases would be for a squadron content, and carriers were the individuals. So your squadron or your faction would set up a base on a planet, and then that would then be a beachhead to expand into that system and do your BGS stuff over it. That was what I was speculating on it, but which I could see useful. You know, you set a base up, and then that's your beachhead, but it has a high upkeep cost that a squadron needs to do.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It didn't surprise me wildly that base building's not in it, but I don't think that prohibits the possibility that it was originally meant to be in it.
Because in the Odyssey video, you see the anaconda land on a looks to be a medium pad, but don't you? So you have to ask, where does that pad come from?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting. They have said no, which indicates that
depends on your base building definition, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. I think Ben is keen to say something.
We've kind of moved on, but I was going to mention about the VR because I guess Suv and Mac, you guys both play in VR, and I don't know what technical issues Frontier are facing, but I think the biggest technical issue that I can think of is the ability to walk around and the fact that most people chuck up when they walk around using WSAD and they're not actually moving, but it looks like they're moving, and then the brain gets all confused.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I am the same as Mac. My preference would be don't disallow anything. You know, if you don't want to put the VR compatible logo on the Steam page, fine.
Yeah.
You know, because if you know first person combat is weird and disorientating in VR, fine. But leave that up to us. Leave that up to the people who have the kit at home and would like to do it. Don't arbitrarily stop us from using that stuff. You know, if it you know, caveat emptor, if it's let that be on us.
So I mean, what I was basically suggesting, and 80% of our responders out of 155 agree that if you basically, let's say for sake of argument, you use VR behind an XML control that you have to dig out, configure manually in a text file, save it, and then potentially even redo it every single time you update. So you're very definitely, I am doing something that is not officially supported here. Can't blame Frontier if it breaks, but it is in there if you have an iron stomach and you want to risk it. And 80% of people seem happy with that because I can't picture like teleporting around, for example, how you would do that in multiplayer. And
the thing is, it doesn't need to be teleporting. No Man's Sky demonstrates that you can very easily have a game that's structurally quite similar to Elite that with just normal analog stick.
Okay, so you are doing WSAD or just using your gamepad?
Yeah, it works perfectly fine. Perfectly. I mean, No Man's Sky is smart. They've said, right, we can do VR. Some people will find moving around with the analog stick sickening, so we'll just give them the option. You can teleport around if you want, or you can just move normally as you would by pushing a direction.
And I mean, I think in Elite they can't. No Man's Sky is definitely a one-person single-player game, no matter what they try and say. But I can imagine people teleporting around a base in Elite would look very, very weird. But walking around, and if you puke up, then don't blame us.
Yeah.
Seems a reasonable thing to me.
Yeah.
I can't think why it would be a technical issue. I really can't. But I don't know anything about the rendering.
No.
And all that stuff, so I can't. I'm not in a position to actually judge it. I just hope it's a social thing that they want it to be awesome, and they just can't figure out how to do this without it being a vomit fest.
Yeah, I agree.
But Mac and Suv, I guess. Can you think of any FPS VR games that also play against people in pancake mode?
No.
No, just because I haven't gone looking. basically. The only thing I do in VR, all I do in VR is Elite Dangerous.
Right. Because I've had a quick look, but I don't have VR, so
I
I'm
know,
not
I know,
invested in it.
I know. Bizarrely, VR chat works for non-VR users.
Yeah.
So you can join, you can have VR users and non-VR users together. But the thing is with you've already got. The thing is, if you say, well, perhaps VR people would have an unfair advantage because they've got such easy head look, etc., then that becomes a reason for segregating people with the hot ass and keyboard and mouse in the regular game, etc.,
Yeah,
etc.,
no,
etc.
I
It's
wouldn't want any of
nonsense.
that.
So that ends up you just end up on a path to madness that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And could you imagine playing, say, Call of Duty in VR?
Oh yes.
Oh,
yes.
it would be amazing, I think, actually.
I'd want the suit from Ready Player One. I mean, that would,
yes,
that would, but that would really get you to. I mean, this is the whole thing with when I saw that Odyssey trailer. I thought because I have VR, I thought, oh wow, this is like Ready Player One in space. It's like it was like I was like squeeze, but and then the next day,
denied.
denied.
So,
Yes.
so I guess we'll know more on the 13th, and we can probably revisit this. And I'm sure we
We'll
will
probably be
revisit
talking
it.
about this on and off for about the next year, I suspect.
So I'm going to propose we move on to Community Corner. And there's one story in particular about the Gnosis is being retired.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Gnosis.
So who has the background on this one?
To be honest, possibly Norman has the best thing. But the short version is that sadly, with the upcoming fleet carriers coming out, the point of the Gnosis is maybe a little bit deprecated. And so they are Canon/Frontier are essentially retiring it, and it's now the 615 bus route visiting various notable places in Canon history.
I can kind of understand it, but
yeah,
it's a bit of the end of an era, really, isn't it?
it very much is an end of an era, and obviously there's a lot of, I'm not going to say tears, but people are. There's a lot of good memories associated with the Gnosis.
So
it's kind of like the end of steam trains. It's you got something that's actually your diesel train is actually way better. I mean, it starts at the press of a button. So yeah, it you do get nostalgic for these things, but fleet carriers have got to be better than because the Gnosis you have to fiddle around with. Yeah, Frontier has to set the schedule, and it's all a bit of a pain in the back. So as a fleet carrier, you can do it yourself. And
on the other hand, the Gnosis doesn't require you to mine a shit ton of tritium.
Well, need the fleet carriers really, because if you load the tank and then you can store an absolute shed load of tritium on it. Okay, you have to be present on the ship to transfer it. Why can't this highly paid crew
don't go there.
move
Don't go there.
Anyway, I think we've been through that a few times, but even so, it's got to. The fleet carrier's got it because we can command them. Whereas in the past, for a mega ship, you'd have to arrange it all with Frontier and all that kind of stuff. And I think there's probably some ball ache on Frontier's end doing this because way back when a couple of years ago actually, when we were coming up with the Thanksgiving expedition, because the EIC actually has a megaship that we won through the BGS called the Midas, which is a very appropriate name. We had a whole operation to actually take it over, and we said, we kind of mooted, we're doing this expedition, could you do what you do for the Gnosis? And it was like, nah. So I suspect,
I get the feeling it's a ball lake.
I suspect it's not. It's a bit of a pain in the backside for them to do, and so they'd rather not do it. And the thing is, they did it for Cannon at the start, and they probably regretted it, and so they're probably quite glad to be rid of having to deal with
I
this.
suspect as much. So, Norman, would you mind playing that video?
Number 3306. The Canon Interstellar Science Tour. Embark at Variety, the home of Canon Interstellar, where we will give you a guided tour of Thompson Dock and show you the Canon boffins hard at work doing science stuff. Oh God, do I have to do this? It's so demeaning. The Gnosis isn't a blasted tour bus. It's a magnificent vessel that crosses the void, delivering cutting-edge science to the galaxy. This is so depressing. After years of trying, we finally find a route to Lemon Slice Nebula, and now instead of boldly making a historic voyage into the unknown, we're turning the only ship capable of reaching the nebula into a glorified school bus. Our next stop, HIP 17862, will get you up close and personal with the Thargoids. Visit a wrecked Thargoid vessel and have a walk around the mysterious Thargoid surface site. Free paper and crayons for you budding scientists to draw the disturbing skin-crawling Thargoid artifacts. Crayons, for heaven's sake. They better not be planning on letting them pet Dr. Arcannon's llamas. Those things are carnivorous. Is this because of the cone sector? Is that why we have to put Gnosis into a holding pattern? I know a lot of people complained that instead of a nice, relaxing exploration mission, they were attacked by the Thargoids. Well, we had an armed escort. Only a few people got killed. Okay, with hindsight, maybe we should have told Del Monte to suspend the no-fire zone instead of expecting him to have some common sense. Where was I? Oh, yes. On week 3, we will jump to Pleiades sector PNTB3-0, where you can visit the magnificent barnacles, and if you're very lucky, watch a Thargoid interceptor sucking up nutrients. Was it because we crashed into the installation in HIP 23759? It was very regrettable. If I, a classic, hadn't fallen asleep at the wheel, we probably wouldn't have to cater to drooling imbeciles on this absurd cruise. Week 4. Come and visit the Proto-Lagrange cloud at Sinif PRL B4-1. Subject to availability, no refunds. Lagrange clouds. We tried jumping into Lagrange clouds, but never succeeded. I think the Pilots Federation was sabotaging us. They didn't want to pay out the insurance. That's probably why they tried to stop us orbiting inside a white dwarf. Next stop, HIP 18120, where our entertainment team will take you to carve space pumpkins. Oh God, the damming down. They are rubium bioluminescent anemones, not space pumpkins. Week 6. We jump to IC239 sector CG-Y C16. Wait, no, that system doesn't even exist. What idiot wrote this? You must mean IC2391 sector CQ-Y C16. Week 6, we jump to IC2391 sector CQ-Y C16, where you can use high-powered lasers to light a mysterious guardian beacon and unlock an ancient key. Unlock a key? Who wrote this bilge? I know why we're giving up the Gnosis. It's because we're getting one of those newfangled fleet carriers. This is just so you can rinse rich passengers to pay for one of those ugly new ships. At our penultimate stop, Kappa 1 Volantis, our highly trained therapist will take you for a relaxing session amongst the brain trees that will lull you into a deep, meditative state. Oh, brain trees. Have you ever eaten a brain tree? It's revolting. Why would anyone want a fleet carrier? Man wasn't meant to go jumping hundreds of light years every 20 minutes. A week is plenty for anyone, I say. Our final stop before returning to Verati is the magnificent Mitterrand Hollow. Watch it orbit New Africa every minute and 26 seconds. Yes, well, that will fill a whole week, won't it? Going round and round. The only good thing about Mitterrand Hollow was the gravitational effect we had the first time we went there that sent all those ships floating into space. That's it. I'm having nothing to do with this. This is ridiculous. I will not rest until we get control of the Gnosis back.
Yeah, so that was another awesome video there by LCG for like no one over for Canon. And yeah, I think they expressed themselves quite eloquently there as ever.
I think so.
Do you want me to move on with the rest of the
Yes, you
community
can
news,
then.
shall I?
Yeah. Yes, you can.
Okie
Yeah.
dokie. So, right. So this is a bit of a sad one now, I guess. Commander Commander Ro Laren, who's one of our friends over at the Lave Radio. She recently did, well, not recently, last year sometime I think it was, did a charity stream where she raised money for Macmillan Cancer Support, and she's going to be running another one on the 19th of June. During the last stream, her aunt was fighting for breast cancer, and sadly, her aunt actually passed away last week. And basically, in memory of her, Ro and her faction are doing stuff along with the Deep Space Support Array, and they're going to deploy the fleet carrier Mandy's Rest to Mare Somnia region of the galaxy in a 2-day live stream. And they've got details about all this on the forum. They've also got their own Discord channel, and there's a Just Giving page as well, which we will include in the show notes. But that's, obviously our thoughts go out to Ro, and cancer sucks. I think
it does. Yeah.
Yep. So another nice, getting a bit more positive now. We have the New Pilots Initiative is essentially offering a mega bus to Colonia. And I think back again, I'm not entirely sure if they're going back and forth all the time, but these guys, the New Pilots Initiative, are flying to Colonia from. I've lost it now. Did it say where they're flying from? They're flying from how would you pronounce that? Malay? Meliae. I'm going to go with Malay. So that they're heading out of there from Malay at 1500 hours game time on the 9th of August. Sorry, that can't be right. Oh, they're leaving on the 5th of July. Yeah, they're leaving on the 5th of July, heading off to Colonia, and then returning from Colonia back to the bubble on the 9th of August. So that's a nice little service that these guys are offering. If you're like Colin or Grant or whatever, and you can't be asked flying out to Colonia, you can just dock your ship on their fleet carrier, and honest gov, they will fly you there.
Do you think they'd let me join in with my carrier?
You could try.
I don't think anybody should let you join in anywhere.
Yes, because God knows where you'll end up. You'll probably end up like Magellan's Star on the east side of the galaxy, right, where my Alta's going.
People little faith.
Or one of those clusters you can't get back from.
Yeah, exactly.
The Anaconda Graveyard.
Does anybody else want to cover the AXI Initiative's website that they've gone off and revamped?
I didn't even know about this. This sounds fun.
Okay, this is awesome. The AXI, who are awesome and we love them, have finally gotten round to having their own very website, which, funnily enough, is called at www.antixenoinitiative.com. Maybe Ventura can link that in the Twitch chat. Actually, Ventura, could you do the thing for Ro Laren as well on Twitch? as well, if you don't mind, because that's probably a good thing to chuck in as well, isn't it? So basically, AXI's new website is going to be the hub for all things AXI, and it's going to have an introduction to AXI, how you join up and help, their leaderboards, community news, Thargoid activity, which is a really useful place. And they're also going to have stuff for the new carrier and the knowledge mode, which has been apparently is new and improved and now has dark mode. So they've got lots of new shiny things on the AXI's websites, and that's a good thing, I think, because they're awesome, and having a central place rather than try and look on the forums and hope is it works, but having a website is a good thing, I think.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really good resource, actually, if you want to go have a nose around it. So that, I believe, is us, Shan.
Well, yes, we have some shout-outs very quickly. The sister station to Lave Radio is Hutton Orbital Radio, and that broadcasts on a Thursday from 8:30 UK time. And you can tune in at tv.forthemug.com, or for just the audio at radio.forthemugs.com. And for the discerning commander who wants to try out the new CQC feature of this release, you can check out the CQC Discord, which is discord.me/EliteDangerousCQC. And for those in game, do we have a list of commanders who've been floating around by us?
No, because we can't get in game either.
Oh, okay. Well, come next week and we'll shout you out. So yeah, thank you for those who've been in Twitch chat and commenting away. And that is it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with us on the show, then you can email us at info@laveradio.com, or go to facebook.com/laveradio, or tweet us on Lave Radio at Lave Radio, or you can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/Lave Radio. And we also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders come to hang out and chat, which you can also find at teamspeak.laveradio.com. So do get in touch if you have any questions, or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in future episodes, or even if you want to remind Colin that he needs to get a new router to come on. So Lave Radio is recorded on a Tuesday at 8:30 and streamed out on laveradio.com. And thanks to Ben, thanks to Sue, thanks to Commander Ventura hiding in the background but doing invaluable work, and thanks to our special guest of Mac. So until next time, Commanders, fly safe, and if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this? Sounds like someone having an orange inserted into them. Need a safe word. Space can be low. I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 9th of June 3306. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, Carrier Carryout opens for business. An SRV on legs. Commercial dispute puts Thargoid participation at risk. Decommissioning the Gnosis. Carrier Carryout opens for business. "2,002 days after the frameshift drive became widely available, and nearly a month less than 1,000 days after they were first announced, fleet carriers are available for commanders to buy. For real this time. Any commander can have one, as long as they have 5 billion credits in the bank and are good for about 5 billion more for optional extras and operating costs over the first year. And commanders have been voting with their feet. At all 11 systems with a fleet carrier showroom, there have been queues snaking all the way around the car parks, with commanders standing 2 metres apart for social distancing reasons. Commander Thrust from Bradford, who'd been queuing in DSO since the 8th of October 3303, clutching a selfie with David Braben, managed to snag the very first fleet carrier, the Quite Interesting, which is expected to be the first fleet carrier to arrive at Scimitar's Beacon on Friday this week. Complaints have been received from commanders whose brand new fleet carrier has been delivered to the wrong system. And a campaign has already started amongst fleet carrier owners to be shown a bit more respect by their overpaid employees. Carrier captains expect to be piped aboard, and they expect special attention from their crew, with the captain's anaconda being properly valeted and all that loose wiring in the cockpit sorted out. And today we find out the truth about the rumours that the fabled Panther Clipper might become available to purchase for commanders not quite wealthy enough to buy a fleet carrier. More details next week. If it did. An SRV on legs. Ahead of the release of fleet carriers, and ahead of the praise Brewer Corporation was expected to receive for its bug-free and dramatic launch, the Pilots Federation sought to steal their thunder with advance notification that in roughly another 300 days or so it will allow its members not only to enter the atmosphere of some new types of world, but will also allow them to leave their cockpit and walk around on the surface of the planet. Commanders will even have a jetpack, so they can get themselves out of trouble just like an SRV. Commanders will not be able to see stereoscopically if they want to walk about, but there will be, in the words of Founders World founder David Braben, the superfine scale that is needed for travelling on foot while maintaining the vast, raw distances measured in light years. A very brief video shows 2 commanders walking across a detailed landscape on a world with a thin atmosphere, apparently oblivious to the aerial acrobatics just overhead. They appear to be carrying Nerf guns and are probably heading to a party at the secret base belonging to that anaconda down in the valley. Base building is not part of the package. That's what fleet carriers are for, just like Commander Plater said. But there will be social hubs, equipment shops, and a whole new set of engineers and engineering. And for the first time ever, you'll be able to set foot on an almost unlimited number of planets, leaving footprints as you head out to take that unique photograph of yet another previously undiscovered world. The Pilots Federation has promised to publish a diary telling of its plans and progress, but it's safe to assume that we have a while to play with our fleet carriers before we get to stand on our own 2 feet. Commercial dispute puts Thargoid participation at risk. A failure to pay Thargoids the union minimum means that their participation in future events may be at risk. Tharg the Mighty declined to let any Thargoids participate in the first glimpse concept video of Walking on Planets, stating that if Thargoids are being asked to take their ships off and appear naked, the appearance rate doubles. Negotiations continue behind the scenes, and there's every possibility that Thargoids may put in an appearance ahead of the launch, or indeed may appear as surprise guests. Decommissioning the Gnosis. In a bittersweet moment, the scientists of the cannon megaship the Gnosis have been told that their ship will be taken out of active service in the week they finally managed to get results from a long-running experiment. The Gnosis, which can only jump once a week, has long been trying to jump into the exclusion zone of a white dwarf, to allow scientists to study the effect on commanders of having their ships fried by microwave, gamma, and all sorts of other exciting radiation. After months of trying, they've finally managed the difficult hyperspace jump to planet A1 of the Drojo FA-Q D5-6 system, which is roughly half a light second from the white dwarf it orbits, in a location where it is essentially impossible for ships to take off or land. Much exciting science is being done, and many rebuys are being claimed. However, the scientists have had their elation punctured by a call from the Pilots Federation saying that Cannon's research grant is to be withdrawn, following an assessment that many of the organisation's research efforts appear to be frivolous and of a highly speculative nature. There are rumours that Cannon might have been getting perilously close to unlocking the secrets of the Stellar Forge, and that the Pilots Federation is seeking to shut them down before they publish. The Gnosis is famed for many feats, including jumps to otherwise inaccessible systems, and particularly for its failed attempt to jump to the Conehead sector and the subsequent confrontation with Thargoids that was leaked in advance, leading to a suspicion that someone, possibly in the Pilots Federation or the Club, might be in contact with the Thargoids and be coordinating operations against commanders. Although it will no longer be an active research vessel, a group of well-heeled well-wishers has formed a trust to preserve the Gnosis as a museum piece, complete with a solid gold statue of Dr. Arcanum. It will be maintained in running order, and will follow a predefined bus route round a number of interesting sites, with a hop-on, hop-off policy. Sites on its 8-week loop include a crashed Thargoid ship, a barnacle field, a proto-Lagrange cloud, anemones, a guardian beacon, and the superfast planet Meteorong in the Epsilon Indi system. Cannon has asked if everyone who's used the Gnosis's facilities in the past few years could please write in the guest book, which may be published as a souvenir, if enough guests can refrain from drawing rude pictures. And that's this week's ever so exciting Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news, so you don't have to.
According to scientists, Uranus is full of methane gas.
I think you're right, though, Colin.
What have you done with Shan, and when can we have him back?